All right, I'm going to take a brief moment. We're going to look at maps. We're doing maps today. We're going to do some mapping. My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator. And I've been trying to keep an eye on everything that's going on for the last almost 4 years now. And so what we've got here is I've got this map. I made these maps, okay? I've got this map of the United States that was last updated last August, and this is what it looked like at that time, which to me indicates a possible threat coming in from the Gulf Coast. This is where corrupt activity from politicians was most noticeable along the Gulf. And then we've got our world map, and we're going to take a look at this and do some updating today. I'm going to express my personal thoughts and opinions based on my observations and what I'm seeing in this situation and what I am personally concerned about from my own perspective. Alright, this is the key. So the red is agitators, those who have engaged in hostilities. India attacked Pakistan. China's been harassing these people on this island here. Russia, I believe, is the military spearhead. I believe, and I'm expressing my opinions, and I have a right to do so, I believe that Donald Trump is aiding Russia in expansionism, and I believe that the United States military is currently being used as a tool for expansionism by Russia. And so that is the lens that we will be looking at this through. And China is the suspicious fly on the wall in this situation. They're up to something. And I think I might be starting to figure some of this out. So we got some updating that we need to do. Other than that, you can clearly see that NATO has been targeted with the things that Trump has been saying, like overthrowing Greenland, for example. There's a lot of activity surrounding NATO, and that is part of the reason why I believe Russia's behind this. I did an article on my Substack stating that Benjamin Netanyahu is likely Russian in descent and may be a potential sleeper agent that might have been groomed by Russia with the goal of overthrowing NATO. And if that's the case, then it means that we are likely watching a plan that began at the beginning of World War II, fostered by Russian intelligence agencies, which would also mean that Putin himself has likely been groomed his entire life. Another thing I'm concerned about is the involvement of white supremacist movements, particularly, this uproar we're hearing about Nazis and behaviors that seem to mirror that, and possible involvement of Operation Paperclip and the potential that intelligence agencies may have been communicating with each other this entire time because multiple countries took in Nazi prisoners and allowed those prisoners to become facets of their intelligence agencies. Russia is one of those countries. The United States is one of those countries. You can look up Operation Paperclip for more information on that and do your own research in regards to which countries took in Nazis during that time period. And I'm concerned that they've been telephoning each other. Other than that, I believe that right now Russia is the spearhead for expansionism, and I believe that I may see another target. Alright, we're on Google Maps now. Look at the Gulf Coast, okay? Trump has the Gulf Coast locked down. There's the signs of an encroaching threat at the beginning, from Donald Trump's election in this area, bridging the Gulf Coast. Alligator Alcatraz was located here, and Elon Musk has had himself stationed here. This is the area of concern right here. I'm very concerned. I've already expressed this, that the goal for Vladimir Putin, if he is the one in charge of the military mobilizations right now, the BRICS is involved in all of this, is trying to attempt to get bridging areas of land So what's the strategic value of Iran? Well, this is Russia right here. So then that means that if he's trying to overtake this area so that he can get the southern flank on NATO, which is what I've been warning about, and I would hope that these people are paying attention. They've been contacted. This gives him the prime opportunity to traffic weapons. The bombing that just took place was Tehran, so it's really close to this water body, which is the Caspian Sea. So then we need to mark this locations being targeted for attack. That is the blue. Iran is no longer labeled as compromised and is instead now labeled as being targeted. Place of interest is this area right here, and my concern is that he's trying to get places that are bridging in between continents, so there's economic opportunity in Africa, and I think that's why China is sitting like a fly on the wall, because I believe that they're a participant, but they're not involved in the expansionism. The goal is obviously to usurp NATO, in my opinion, but there's activity here, and I think that China's involvement might be economic. And Trump's removal of the United States from economic affairs in Africa is not good for our economic well-being. Nothing he's doing is good for our economic well-being. He's engaging in economic espionage, in my opinion. So then what does China have to gain? Economic development of a country that needs to be developed, has not been developed. This is a huge economic target for the world. And Donald Trump's failure to participate is not just racist, it's an attack on the United States economy by allowing China and Russia and whoever's involved, most likely China, to get the goods out of this region. Meaning that that's really going to fuck up the United States economy, failing to be involved in here, and it's going to give a lot of power to China. That is why they're likely sitting as a fly on the wall in this situation. We're going to look here. We're talking about land bridges being a target because it makes easy access for Putin to go wherever the fuck he wants. All right, we got Mexico. This is El Salvador, where Trump was initially sending the people that he was kidnapping. Well, Donald Trump has successfully engaged in a coup in this country. This country is Honduras. So a MAGA politician has taken over the seat of president in Honduras. It is a coup. We're going to now label this country as a hostile agitator. And so then when you look at this and understand the asset that this region is the Gulf of Mexico, then if Putin is trying to grab land bridges, then we have a successful national security threat in this region. All right, Cuba is being starved out from oil, and it's a very bad situation because Donald Trump's attacks on Venezuela. So Cuba is a target. Venezuela is now a target because they've been attacked. We're going to mark Libya as a target. I want to remind people that when a country is destabilized, it takes years to return to functionality. These attacks that are happening should not be taken lightly. Syria is a hostile, so we've got that already. Yemen is marked. It looks like we've got more than what I thought. So I'm just going on my own perspective of this. Japan has been, their politicians are engaging in MAGA slogans. I'm going to currently mark them as an agitator for that reason. However, they might just be trying to play along to survive right now. Libya has already been destabilized by the Americans. This is also another potential target. Afghanistan, I'm going to mark it as a target because it's been destabilized. I'm going to mark Sudan as an aggressor. Putin he's stationing a military base like right here where my cursor is in this area. And Donald Trump is stationing himself on the other side. They're working in tandem. I believe this is Qatar. That is Qatar. Donald Trump has himself stationed adjacent to Vladimir Putin in Qatar. There's been activity in this region of coup attempts that appear to be affiliated with MAGA. I just added Italy to the map. Mark Germany as a target. Alright, well, I ran out of time. So I believe that the World War is being orchestrated by BRICS. BRICS is an economic international organization that Donald Trump certainly appears to be participating in. I believe the efforts are being spearheaded by Russia. I believe that Russia is promising these nations two things. Monetary gains. Well, three. Monetary gains. Security. Because the United States is the world's leading military. So if Russia is weaponizing the United States military while draining the United States of its financial resources, then they are trying to, BRICS, who Donald Trump, in my opinion, appears to be collaborating with, is trying to take the United States, the richest country in the world, out of power, promising power and land to those who are participating. Everybody in red is a participant. For anybody just joining, this is a map that I made based on my perspective and my opinion of what is going on. I'm not stating that these things are fact. I'm stating that this is my perspective of what I'm watching unfold right now. Again, everything in blue are targets. What I believe are targets. I see an effort to try and flank in on the north and south of NATO, and it looks like they're closing in on the south of NATO. I believe this attack on Iran is going to make it very easy for Russia to transmit weapons to Iran, helping them secure the southern flank of NATO. And I think China is trying to be very nonchalant, is involved, and their goal is economic gains from Africa. See part 1. So, it looks to me also like the goal is to move west. They are moving west across the southern flank of NATO. Destabilizing Iran makes easy weapons transit for Russia to continue expansionism with the assistance of the United States military, which is likely under the control of Russia right now. In my opinion, I'm free to express my opinion. I'm an American citizen, and it is my First Amendment right to freedom of speech and freedom of the press. I am not stating these things are facts. I am stating that this is my opinion. So then that would mean that where we're currently at is that Russia has secured the southern flank of the United States by securing this region through the participation of Donald Trump. I believe that the military action is being facilitated by Russia, and the reason why China is just allowing it and acting like a fly on the wall and trying to pretend that they're not involved is because their interest is likely economic in Africa, and they're allowing Russia to engage in expansionism to overthrow NATO. Using the United States military, China knows Russia has control over this. I'm just expressing my opinion. I'm trying to rationalize what is happening on the world stage. And so then what we see here is this cluster of activity surrounding this region. We have an encroaching threat moving westward. And I believe members of BRICS are being promised land, money, and security for their participation. BRICS is the facilitator. Russia is the spearhead. China is this creepy, weird-ass fly on the wall in this situation that is definitely participating and trying to pretend that they're not. We have southward expansionism by the United States and the securement of what is likely a Russian facility. It is what is going to be a Russian operations base in this location, which is going to make it so that they can go this way and this way. Because I'm pretty sure that the strategy, if Russia is the spearhead, is to obtain the major assets that cross over between continents, providing easy access for further action. And based on my observations, it looks to me like Netanyahu is not, necessarily Jewish and may have been a Russian plant groomed a sleeper agent groomed his entire life by the Bolshevik regime. And this is likely where this plan originated. And likely includes involvement of the various intelligence agencies due to their being compromised in World War II through the integration of Nazis who were taken prisoner and allowed to establish themselves in multiple nations post-World War II rather than executed, that have probably been telephoning each other this entire time, who are integrated into Russia's intelligence agency, meaning the Nazis have been likely phoning each other from our intelligence agencies in the world throughout this entire time. But I also believe that the Bolsheviks established a plan, and that's what we're watching unfold right now. BRICS is the facilitator, and I don't know what China would do if the spearhead, likely Russia, were to be removed from these endeavors. Other than that, BRICS is a loose collective. They don't all necessarily get along. I believe their goal is to overthrow the United States, take the United States out of power, capitalize on economic opportunity in Africa, and overthrow NATO. I think that is the goal of this World War III bullshit that we are witnessing, and who I believe is involved and what their goals are. And as of right now, the expansionist war map looks like this. And I'm very disappointed that we are failing to prevent them from taking over these vital locations, bridging between continents, because that's where they need to be stopped. We're now going to update the date on this map, and I will publish this on my Blue Sky for access. And I have just given up on the United States map because I feel like I've seen what I need to see over there, which is, this was updated on the 22nd of last August, and this is what I saw. Stationing of weapons next to nuclear assets, locking down of the coast, an encroaching threat up the Mississippi, and it looks like these motherfuckers are also trying to establish what could be considered concentration camps next to their personal homes for personal use. And I believe all of this was planned pre-World War II, at the very beginning, at the start of World War II, by the Bolshevik regime.